to
Everybody to LOA Losers. This is a place to come where you may have just tried everything or did every exercise to working with LOA to create your dream life, and you're still not living it. And so we're here to talk about those things that maybe you're still doing. It's keeping you from living your dream life. And oh, I forgot. I'm Tracy, and this is Lydia. Welcome, everyone. And
Hi.
Lydia was saying that she wanted to talk about forgiveness.
Yes, because we the topic that we covered last week about that worthiness, about that good enoughness, about unconditional love, and uh, we ended up saying like how I ended up saying how it is very related to the topic of forgiveness from my point of view, my experience, my life experience, and what I've been perceiving in clients and students and friends, right? So the topic of forgiveness, we have heard, and I'm pretty sure you have. I mean, it's like it's known. Forgive others, and forgiveness is going to set you free, just as truth, right? If you forgive, you're gonna gain the heavens, or you need to forgive like the enemy, or put like the other cheek, right? Or turn your cheek around, or those, right? I don't know how it's, I don't remember anymore, but it's like
Yeah, I know. It's the cheap one.
the cheek one, turn the other cheek. And I remember I used to feel so triggered by that. And seriously, again, this is this show is our audience is Loa audience. And I gotta say that the more when I started to know more about how law of attraction, the universe, the rules of existence, to understand more about them, I started to understand more about the message from Jesus. So I used to love Jesus, now I love him more, right? So, but when I've heard, like he was saying, turn the other cheek, I was like, that's not fair, right? How?
Right.
Right?
And I've heard some other translations with turn the other cheek is like if you don't look like what you're if you don't like what you're looking at, then it also means to turn the other cheek and look the other way towards something that you wouldn't prefer. Because he was a master with LOA. People will not, it doesn't really come across in our institutional religions, but he was trying to teach us how to master being deliberate creators.
And I've heard, now that you're saying that, I remember Abraham Hicks, they say that, right? Like, shift your vibration. That the real definition, I correct. I mean, that's what I remember right now. It's
It's
like Abraham,
another definition,
that's
anyway.
another definition, exactly. That, yes, it's like you are perceiving this physical reality just as you're saying it, and you're not loving it. So turn the turn the other cheek so you can focus on something else, right? And that was like the intention, okay? Like put your attention to something that you really like. Now, what I've been exploring about the topic of forgiveness is like because I recently heard from Bashar how to neutralize the when we are experiencing like negative emotion, and we know that a negative emotion is activated because we are practicing a negative belief. Most of the time it's unconscious, sometimes it's conscious, and of course activates a negative emotion, and that negative emotion is gonna bring to the table negative thoughts, right? So therefore we tend to act negatively, or from an energy of negative energy, right? So as I've been learning this, as we've been practicing this in the topic of forgiveness, they say, well, Bashar says, the way to neutralize those negative emotions, it's like a very long list. I don't know if you remember about this list, my dear Tracy.
Yes.
It is long. And in that list is like, know that you are worthy, know that you are loved, okay? Know that no circumstance is built in meaning. We are the ones giving that circumstance a meaning, okay? So it's like a list of 23, 24 points that Bashar is sharing with us. And in one of those, he's sharing the forgiveness. And so that's why I felt inspired to bring it to our show. And what what I took from what Bashar says is like, forgive ourselves. When we are forgiving ourselves and when we are forgiving others, we are neutralizing whatever circumstance that appear to be negative, or yeah, negative or not fair. It is not Bashar's words. Again, it's what
Right.
I
It's your
like to,
words. It's how
my
you,
interpretation. Yes,
yes.
I want to be very clear about that. So what I understood was that at the end of the days, when we live this physical experience, and it's a moment in which our soul is like reporting, in a sense, the life experience that we had here, right? So in that moment, we are going to feel whether we took actions intentionally or not, negative actions intentionally or not, we are going to feel the way the people felt with our actions, whether they were positive or negative. And very clear, it is not like a judgment day, not at all. It is just for our soul to understand, okay, perhaps I once felt triggered, let me put it this way, towards one of my best friends or whatever. And I felt triggered, and I took action, a negative action towards her, telling her that I was disappointed or she was not worthy, and she felt very awful. So, just to give an example for what I understood, is that at the end of the days, I am going to feel the way that friend felt. So, the suggestion, the invitation is, if in this physical reality I take the time to explore that circumstance and to forgive myself about the way I made my friend feel, or the action that I took that was or made my friend felt bad, and forgive myself and forgive her because I thought she was doing something against me in this physical reality, I neutralize that. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it does. You're using forgiveness as a tool to neutralize actually all the judgment that
Exactly. Yeah. In a few words. So it is related to the topic of judgment, right? Yes,
yes, yes,
it is.
yes.
To judge ourselves when we are judging other people, because at the end of the day, when we feel that we need to forgive someone or something, it could be a circumstance or a system, it's because we think that they are doing something wrong. But if we analyze that, and here's the invitation to our beautiful audience, when we analyze that at the root is the need to forgive ourselves because we allowed that circumstance to happen, or we allow, in a sense, that person to cross boundaries. We didn't set boundaries. You see my point? What do you think about that, my dear Tracy?
I think that's very, very true. And what came up for me listening to you is like the the forgiveness as a tool, you know, is also it's you can use it as it it, it lets everybody off the what we say in English in the United States anyway is off the hook. Like you're not making somebody responsible for everything and even yourself anymore. You're we call it letting yourself off the hook. I think that's what it is. Somebody in the
Yes.
comments can tell me like this is what you really meant. Anyway, and so you can let it go. And
Yeah.
I think that's why forgiveness is a nice tool for people. I have had to use it occasionally because there's a deep belief in myself too, after all these years, that there is really nothing to forgive.
Hmm.
We just do what we do, you know,
Yeah.
and everything's reflecting to us. But in saying that, I have found myself in times I had to go to the heart center and let it go and let everybody, like we say, off the hook, let everybody like off the whole thing and say, I and forgive myself. And mostly I have to forgive myself because I really take responsibility for the reflection. Not that I made them act that way, but I understand that they were telling me in their own way, this is stuff
Mhm.
you still need to work on within yourself, but it triggered the crap out of me. And it felt like betrayal. You know, sometimes you could feel like betrayal that you betrayed yourself. And so I like forgiveness because it almost, when you're in that state and you can truly forgive yourself, I feel like it almost moves you into a state of compassion for yourself too. And
Yeah,
unconditional love, like we were talking about. Thing. When you can do that, you can unconditionally love yourself.
exactly. It is a gift for ourselves. Now, I have a question for you. Like, would you agree that forgiveness could be very easy or could be very hard? Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree. It's either easy or I would think for most people it's better in judgment and don't love themselves yet and don't feel that themselves worthy that it would be very hard to do. It would probably be easy. It's I found, and this is just interacting with people, especially people that have been involved that um have different religious backgrounds. It's much easier for them to forgive somebody else than themselves.
Ah, and why? What do you think it would be that way for them? That's very interesting observation.
I think possibly because well, it makes them feel better about the situation. But I think because when I this is like coming to my head and I don't know why, and it might trigger everybody out there because it's kind of a righteousness thing. Well, I can forgive you.
Because, okay, for what I'm understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, like if I forgive, it's to my own convenience from that
Yeah,
energy.
and power. It shows that how magnificent I am or how good, you know, again, it's almost trying to prove to yourself you're good enough. So of course I can forgive those people for doing that for me because they didn't know what they were doing, you know, and I really believe it's heartfelt, but I also believe like maybe there's a little mind ego stuff going on in that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was going to tell you about that because, for example, there there were in my life experience different topics, different situations, different circumstances in which I felt betrayed. And I can tell you the story, and the audience are gonna feel triggered. And I know that you could agree with me that Lydia, that wasn't fair. How come? Again, the judgment, like in the like the way we were used to perceive things. There are like a few things. So my point in here, what I want to tell you is those types of circumstances in which for the physical mind, for my inner child, for my ego, it was a challenge to forgive. Okay? Because again, there was like the betrayal. I felt betrayal. I felt not loved. I felt resentment. So it's like different layers and different, very dense negative emotions that are there. And to be honest, I was like, no, I forgive them, right? Because my religion taught me that. I've learned that from my religion, like forgive.
Yeah,
So I
and to
need to
forgive
forgive,
others. You're always in religion. That's why I said it's always easy to forgive others. And I don't
right?
know why, but like I said.
But honestly, I wasn't forgiving them.
Right.
I
But
wasn't. I was like, it was like, okay, yes, I forgive you. And sometimes they apologized, sometimes they didn't. But I was like, I need to forgive. I'm going to forgive them. That is my decision. But it was a mind decision. It wasn't from
Mhm.
here because I
Yeah.
needed, right? Go ahead.
Mhm.
I needed to listen to my, excuse me, to my inner child, to my young adult, to my teenager. I needed to listen to her. Why are you so disappointed? Why do you feel that betrayal? Why do you feel that resentment? I needed to face it, to understand, to give it a voice.
Yes.
By doing that, now forgiveness for me, after I understood those different versions of myself, now for me, forgiveness, okay, it feels great. It feels fair. Now I understand. And I didn't need to go to speak to nobody, just with myself, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That to me is the best forgiveness because you know you're really over it and you're really loving yourself and them when you don't have to say anything else to them.
Exactly. So that's why in our last episode, I told you how this is related through my eyes. The moment that I started to love myself unconditionally, to listen to myself unconditionally, Lydia, you don't need to forgive. You don't need to forgive. I'm listening to you. So that was an act of unconditional love to myself, to listen to myself with no judgment toward myself, to recognize that I hadn't forgiven in that moment what I said I forgave, right? To accept that fact, to listen to myself with so much love and compassion. Okay, Lydia, I'm listening to you. It's okay that you haven't forgotten. It's okay. Let's put the cards on the table. Let's explore that. That moment, everything started to transform. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Oh, totally. Totally. And audience may hopefully you'll reach that point, what Lydia was talking about. And for me also, I've just reached a point in my life where I know everything is not happening to me, it's happening for me. And
Mm.
LOA is reflecting everything back to me that's going on within me. You know, and you can use that as an example. This is a slight where you don't have to forgive anybody at the grocery store, but you know, you're at the grocery store and somebody like cuts you off or knocks into you or whatever, they're not really nice. And you're
Yes.
thinking, huh, well, it could be a chance to love and forgive those people. And it might be like, oh yeah, I was just being ornery and jerky to outside in my car because I was so frustrated with something going on. And then the universe reflected that back to you when you got into
Yeah.
the store. So, but I think it's very important still because there's some deepening within it. But
Mhm.
it's like Lydia said, you want to stay out of your head. It has to be forgiveness through the heart.
Yeah.
I really think because that's a place of, like I said, deep love and compassion for everyone
Exactly.
involved.
That's beautiful, Tracy. And it is where our power is, right? That's the
Yes,
truth,
yes.
right?
Oh, and one more thing before we close up, I was going to say, and another thing is if you hold a grudge and you feel betrayed and all that, and you can't forgive them, it's like it doesn't do anything to the other person, you not forgiving them. It's it's holding you from everything you deserve. And I
Yes.
know people right now in my own family that are doing that.
Hmm.
They won't talk to each other. They
Yeah.
won't be around each other. I totally understandable because I know the scenario,
Yeah.
but I also know what pain each one is going through that they have to hold on to that. I'm never going to forgive you. You
Yeah.
know, it's like
Yeah.
you don't want to do that to yourself. You want to love yourself,
No.
forgive so you can like love more.
Yeah. Really, forgiveness is a gift for ourselves and to explore. I love what you said. It's beautiful. And I would love to add explore within, listen to yourself. Really, forgiveness is a gift that you are given to yourself. And you're going to notice the difference because now I can notice the difference in my emotions, in my physical reality, in the way that I show up myself to the world, to my with my family, with you, with my friends, right? It is a gift for you. It is very liberating. Well, our beautiful audience, this is the topic. If you resonate with this, we appreciate the like and subscribe and help us and the algorithm to share it to whom you believe is serving this transmission. We love you unconditionally, my dear Tracy.
Yes, we do. And another thing is the more and more you practice self-forgiveness and forgiveness of others, the more and more you'll never need to forgive yourself or anyone for anything.
That's right.
That's the beauty of it. That's what will come out of
That's a
it.
beautiful. Exactly. Exactly. Have the best week ever and
Ciao for now, as Lydia always says.
for
LOA
that.
Loses.
Yay!